Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zach Cherry. With me, as always, is.
This is Vanika. Eddie of Edward is Truth.
And today we're talking about Cult of Chucky, released October 3rd, 2017.
Oh my God. It's been a long time.
It's
It's like
it's
eight
been
years.
over 8 years. Yeah,
Dude,
it's been 8 years.
time.
That's my Jamie in Halloween 4.
It's
Instead
been
of
eight
11.
years.
Where?
The Tower
Far.
Farm.
Uh, so Edward, you have like two more episodes with
Yeah.
us after this, and we've been covering the Child's Play franchise fully for a while. This was the last
Yes.
thing we had to get to because we obviously we were going through the films in order, but we also I think we might have started with the series first because that was current at the time. So we had done
Was that the very
season.
first thing that we did?
I think
Wow.
that was like maybe episode 15
But I mean, in the
ish.
franchise, we
Yeah.
started with the series
We
instead of the
s-
movies.
we
Wow.
started with season one of the
Okay.
series, and then we were kind of
Right,
jumping
right, right, right,
around
right,
and
right. Okay.
whatnot. So we've covered all three seasons and the first six of seven movies. And now here we are with Cult. And we also, I mean, if you want to count it or not, we kind of covered the remake when we were doing the Cherry Picker After Dark still, because it was like the Final Girls
Oh,
original versus the remake. So I think we were
right.
comparing
Moms.
yeah.
Catherine
Uh,
Hicks with Aubrey Plaza. Yeah.
why can't I write Karen?
Yes.
It's so hard to like
Karen
Karen,
Barkley. Karen
the
Barkley.
Karen Barclays. Yeah, it's so hard to like remember the name Karen because it's just associated with like all that is
I just
bad
hear
or
Jamie Lee Curtis shrieking it in Halloween 2018. Karen! But yeah.
or in Halloween Kills when Karen is literally like, "Where is security? Why
Yeah,
are there not enough security
my mother
guards?"
needs protection. You don't under who is your manager? Like she may as well be
Like
saying
she
that.
needs
Yeah.
protection from herself. She's grabbing needles and jamming
That's
them into
true.
her
Only one
buttocks.
person stabs Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Kills, and it is Jamie Lee Curtis. For no reason. Just like,
Yeah.
it takes the pain away.
I wonder if that was like even in the script or was just something that
That she did
Jamie
on the
wanted.
day.
Yeah, just like, it'd be really fun to just do this. I actually, and we're gonna get into Chucky in a second here, but I was watching Freakier Friday.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
because yeah, I actually I had watched Freaky Friday for the first time a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Good movie.
I'd never seen it before. Yeah,
Did you
I
like
think it
it?
was a lot of fun. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So this one came around, and I pretty much I had set the bar low for what to expect, and I mean,
Yeah.
like it came in exactly where I thought it was. It was neither good nor bad.
That's what I
It has
heard.
a lot of the things that I dislike immensely about the like reboots and things like that, but it's also like
Hmm.
not in my wheelhouse, so it's not like I'm gonna take offense to anything. I do
Sure.
appreciate the fact that they were uh in more scenes together. They were playing off of one another more because in
Sure.
the first movie they're very much separated into their own
Yeah.
factions of that film. Um, but something I noticed with Jamie Lee Curtis, and they kind of like touched upon this before, but now I just know this to be the gospel truth, is that she is incapable of playing the same character twice because I don't see like I think the character's name is Tess or I forget
Someone in the fetal know,
whatever,
sure.
yeah, whatever character she's playing in the 2003 movie whenever that came out. It's just
Hmm.
like I don't see that. Like I see Jamie Lee Curtis playing herself. Like I just like a version of herself, like a version of Jamie Lee Curtis's own personality. Um, but it's just like that is not the same character. And I feel like I look at Halloween
Uh-huh.
H2O, and I'm like, that's
Hmm.
not Laurie from Halloween 1. Even Halloween 2 to Halloween 1, like that's not Laurie. And then of course like the David Gordon Green trilogy of Laurie Strode, I'm like, that's not Laurie. So
But is she the same character in any of those three movies? Like, is she's definitely not the same in Halloween Ends,
the thing
but
that I can give grace to her in that, and I'm not saying any of this, also just as a disclaimer, as an insult to Jamie Lee Curtis. It's just an observation that I've made. I think that she's a wonderful actress. I think that H2O and True Lies, I think, are her best performances of her
mm,
career.
mm.
But it's just like this is something I've noticed. It's just like she's doing a lot of these reboots, and it's just like, no, I'll just wing it. I'll just make it up on the day. Like that's the kind of the attitude. But I give grace to her trajectory in the Halloween movies because they filmed those so closely together that it's like that I do see the through line.
Okay.
And it's just like those movies are so batshit insane and not for the better that it's just sort of like, I can see her having that note where she's like, "Hey, David, I think I'm gonna ram this needle into my butt cheek. How about that?" Like that's just it feels natural. Like she's very unpredictable.
And David Gordon Green's just
Yeah.
counting his money off to the side, just going, whatever you think, Jamie, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you've spoken freely about Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, throughout the entire life of this pod. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by any or offended by anything you have to say at this point. If they were, they've gone. So,
Who's
welcome,
ever
guys.
really offended by anything anyway?
Well, that we're not going there.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Um,
pod in and of itself.
well, actually, well,
Yes.
since we're talking
Yes.
about Jamie Lee Curtis, I think this is actually a really
Yeah.
good segue because um, we talked about like the Child's Play franchise or the
Yeah.
Chucky franchise, whatever you want to talk about it. And I feel that like like we speak very highly of it. We're both fans. And I have to say on like the most recent rewatch of just like what we've been doing, like covering it on the podcast, like
Yeah.
I have not enjoyed Curse and Cult. So I'm not actually
Really?
I wasn't too happy about this one. Not that I was like miserable about it, but I feel like it's I can see the trajectory of where it goes with like the TV series,
Yeah.
and it starts with Curse. And I don't know, there's something about it, like we'll get into it because I feel like I need to understand.
All
I
right.
think we need to like have therapy about this. But like what I wanted to get at is just like the from jumping off with Jamie Lee Curtis here is that this could have been like a Andy H2O situation.
Okay.
And I just feel like anything to do with Andy is kind of squandered here. Like it's just like this feels like an unfocused movie to me.
I can see you're not the first person I've ever heard kind of like lean in that direction with this film. I do have my arguments. I'm not going to present them right now,
Mm.
but but I do have them, so I will present them.
Okay. No,
So
that's
strap
that's
in,
that's good
folks.
to know. Well, let's start with, do you want to do a ranking?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You could,
Uh,
if you want to include the TV series in there,
no, thank you. That's
that's
just too
yeah,
hard.
it's because like you would have to I'd have to separate it by season
Yeah, and
and
even then, like it's hard,
yeah,
especially with that series. Oh, well, you know what?
yeah,
I'd say especially with like something like season two, like season one, largely have kind of like a broad feel about. Season three, I definitely have like a broad feel about.
yeah,
Two, is really like the divider. It's like equal parts season one and season three for me, where half the time I am like
yeah.
screaming my lungs out, going yes, and the other times I'm going, oh, that was a choice, you
There
know.
was a there was a downward mobility
Yeah,
with the series for me,
unfortunately.
and I think the season one was a high. Like if we're
Yes, it
ranking
was.
season one,
Yes.
like it would be very up high in any film rank.
Right.
And I agree. Like season two is like it just felt like transitional. There were things about it that I liked. There were things about it that I didn't like, and the things about it that I didn't like were the things that they really leaned into with season three.
Right, 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 right.
So I think that season three might be like the bottom of the barrel for me if it was a ranking, but
I mean, I also like broke down crying in the finale, so I don't know. I mean, I'd have to watch. I've only seen season three
but
once. I need to
you're
sit through it again.
soft though.
I, but I mean, that said, like, there are times where I'll sit and watch something that I know is like manipulating me to cry,
Okay.
and I'm sitting there going like, no, no, you didn't do the work. You didn't lay the groundwork here. And I
Yeah.
don't, it's not even like a structural groundwork. It could just be like, do I care enough about this person to be moved by something significant that happens to them? And because something significant happens to Jake, I'm like, oh God, there's the boy. There's the boy from season one.
The
But anyway,
boy.
but I have the boy. But it's too hard to rank like seasons of a series against a movie. So I'm
Yeah.
not even going to try to do that.
Okay. Do you
Just
want me to go
as first
first?
duration. Whatever, sure.
Okay.
I've got mine ready, so
Here,
whatever.
I've got mine here.
Okay.
Okay, so this is based on the seven films. This is not including the
Oh,
remake. So
okay.
seventh, Cult of Chucky. Sixth, Curse of Chucky. Fifth, Child's Play 3. Fourth, Bride of Chucky. Third, Seed of Chucky. Second, Child's Play 2. First, OG Child's Play.
Wow. Um, well, we're not going to have a repeat
We're
of
not
our
gonna be like,
Halloween
yeah.
rankings because we were both stunned by that. I don't think we've ever agreed
Mhm.
so much.
Yeah.
There were only two that were flipped with us in the Halloween
And
rankings, but
it was 6-7. What does
yeah.
that mean? What is it 6-7?
Yeah, I don't.
Have we
You mean
figured
what?
out since the
I think
last time
that's
we
what we
yeah.
we cracked the code. It means six and seven are interchangeable. That's what 6-7
Yeah.
means.
Sure.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it
Yeah.
means. I don't care. I'm too old. But
Sure.
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going ranking from bottom to top. Okay, so
Okay.
at the bottom of my ranking, God, you're gonna we'll just see what you do with this.
Yeah.
Bottom is Child's Play 3.
I'm
Just above that,
joking.
no, and also I like watching Child's Play 3, but I do still think
Yeah.
like, just kind of the course of it. And everything above this I love. So this
Yeah.
is not like a I hate that movie, but it's just
Yeah.
about what I get from them. Don't Kill Me, right above Child's Play 3 is Child's Play 2. Right above that is Bride of Chucky. Above that, Curse of Chucky. Above that, OG Child's Play. Above that, Seed of Chucky. And above that, Cult of Chucky. So Cult is my
I
favorite.
cannot wait to learn why this is your favorite of the franchises.
Well, that's what we're here for. Should we do some housekeeping?
Two really dropped for you. I don't think it was
No,
that low.
it's always been there.
Has it always been that low?
I don't think we've ever done our rankings of the movies before, or you just forgot, which is also
Probably.
possible.
I mean, yeah, I forget shit all the
No, two's
time.
never dropped for me. But again, love from two up. I love all of those films,
Yeah.
but it's just in terms of like what it satisfies in me, like that. But I
Okay.
understand that two is tops with a lot of people, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Two is very accessible.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it has,
Um,
oh, I have so much fun with it. Like every time I watch it, it's not a slog. That's the
yeah.
lowest I've ever ranked something that I've had that much fun with.
And I remember like when we talked about three, because I'd
Hmm.
said like, this might be the worst one, but I
Hmm.
still really liked it.
Yeah.
But why I kind of turned around on that, or just like why I enjoy it more than these last two is like there's still kind of like a filmic quality to it. Like it just it feels very much like of that time of the 90s.
Mm,
And even though I think that the story, the script, and like decisions that were made were not the best, it's just like I can watch that and like I'm having a good time here. Like this is like eye candy for me.
mm.
I'm satiated. I'm getting like what I know Chucky to be, which I don't feel is like what the franchise was after Seed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes I understand. I have a note that I took, which um, uh, oh, it was just regarding the opening credits. that I think kind of pertains to like what you're talking about, the opening credits for this movie.
Right.
Because I wrote it feels part 6 feet under and part American Horror Story, just in terms of objects and landscapes, being
Yeah.
shot with like credits alongside of them. But inherently, because I realized I wrote down 2 television shows, so I wrote it's already more TV in feel. But
Hmm.
also the thing that kind of like makes it work for me is that it aligns with the production design in color scheme and in just kind of like this really clean minimalism that has become for me a kind of signature of Don Mancini as a filmmaker. So that's why but
Is
I
it
under,
is
yeah.
it this is it a signature, or is it just sort of like restraints that maybe came with a lower budget?
But I mean, this is the thing. You can work with a lower budget, but still not have like an artistic eye to like
Hmm.
make it, visually compelling. Like you have to create
Yeah.
visual interest and you
I
have to,
I'll give yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I will give him that. That
Yeah.
that for sure. I don't think that this is a boring movie to look at.
Hmm.
There's certainly like some of the color grading, like I wish that the characters in it like weren't as washed out as like some of like the sets and backgrounds look,
Mm,
but
mm,
I do like how, especially with where we come from in Curse, that this has its own unique signature style as well.
hmm.
And I mean, I also just in terms of like the franchise as a whole, the fact that every movie sort of looks and feels different, like aesthetically and thematically.
Hmm.
So, those are plus columns. Like I don't think this is a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just I don't know, but we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
The some of the rankings of the chat are here.
Yeah.
So let me just see. Sarah is saying that her ranking is the release order. It's a series of diminishing returns for me.
Wow.
Adrian says worst to best, Cult, Seed, 3, Bride, 2, Curse, OG.
Wow.
Antonio says 736 sorry. 7-3. 3 is the bottom. Curse,
Yes.
Cult, Seed, 2, OG, uh, Bride.
But the top two are interchangeable.
There we
Interesting.
go. Yes. Yes. Very
And
good.
Amethyst just dropped one.
Oh, it hasn't shown up here yet. You tell
Oh,
me
I
what it
can read
says.
it.
Yeah, please
We've
do.
got Bride, 2, Curse, 1, Seed, Cult, 3. Um, is that from top to bottom or bottom to top? I can't tell.
I think that Amethyst is a top to bottom kind of
That's
guy.
what I
So
thought
yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
of, just what the majority rules so far.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Wow.
But
All
yeah.
right. Well, just a little housekeeping before we begin. So, if you are new to the Cherry Picker, if you've been listening for a while, you can also give back a little if you would like to help this engine run. So you could head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/Zach Cherry, ZACKCHERRY. The link and all that will be in the descriptions you can find. And as a Patreon supporter, you get to do a lot of fun things. For instance, you can join us like we are right now doing our live stream recording of the episode and just kind of hang out and chat with us and tell us what your rankings are and all that good stuff. You can also nominate and vote for the movie or theme that you want us to cover for our episode at the end of every month. So everyone has put their nominations in. We got to put it to a poll, and I did see one for whatever happened to Baby Jane. So your
Ooh.
wish might come true, or this will be whatever your last episode is
Yeah.
ever.
Okay.
So yeah, you get a little bit of control over the cherry
My
picker.
destiny.
You get to decide what we talk about. So that's a
Make us
pretty
talk about something.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty fun perk, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely. People
Yeah.
like control.
Yeah, and there's lots of other things like monthly reviews for movies and video hangouts with me, if that's something that you're interested in.
The pause was sweet.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun when we do those. But
Yay.
yeah, I there's probably other stuff I'm just not remembering it right now, but I
Perk City.
it's just perks abound. But
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you to some of my top tier supporters. So let's roll out the Chucky voice for this because you've got me doing the premise today too in Chucky, so
Yeah.
I got to get warmed up. So Michael Myers tier. Thanks, Kyle Beard, Sam Levy, Ali Hamouche, Shane Allingham, Tim McKay, Horror Slut 95, Traj 125, Austin Hall, Cara Day, Michael Boswell, DEFCON, and a new Michael Myers supporter, ML Hughes 99. And then thank you to the Ghostface tier. Eric Champney, Daniel Saturn, Stephanie Starbright, Baby Ghoul. You know, he's like particularly angry at that. Baby Ghoul!
What is he doing
Garrison,
here?
Garrison Nichols, Craig Lynn, Josh Burrow, Brian James. This kind of wafted into the desperate Chucky there, right?
Yeah, friends to the end, remember?
Andy.
Let me out of here.
So yeah, thank you very much to everyone. And okay, you did a premise for me because this has just
Yeah,
sort of been a tradition. You usually read the premises. I'm doing it today as
because
Chucky.
Chucky movie, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, that's so cute. You uh prefaced it with here's your premise, Chucky. 4 long years after framing that smartass bitch, Nika, for 5 murders, an infamous killer doll moves in to settle an old score and rack up a few more bodies for his kill count at a medium security mental institution while masterfully possessing any body that can help to build his cult of Chucky.
Medium security.
Medium? What's this medium shit?
I know, I thought there was only maximum and minimum, but apparently there's medium as
I
well.
I noticed there were some points in the movie where um Brad Dourif's like voice of Chucky was like going into
Hmm.
different registers, and this was like I get that there's like three of them later on,
Sure.
but like the when we see him when he's like walking by the door to that schizophrenic woman,
Yeah.
he's like, "Where's Nika?" Like he's just like it's a little
Yeah.
pitchier.
Yes. There's a few where I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just exploring like him in different avenues, if he's just calmed down a bit, just kind of
Yeah.
like even when he's excited, like I've never felt so alive, you
Yeah.
know, like I mean,
Yeah. Well, he's kind of like I guess he's building it up for the series because he did play around with a lot of different levels there.
right, right, right,
But
right.
yeah, he's like, "Where's Nika?" Uh,
What?
but what? I,
Don't
I
be
love
afraid.
they're like, "Hey, you fucking with me?"
Yeah, right. Well, because for the first time, someone is telling, like, usually
Yeah.
someone sees something like that, like him, they're going to scream or at
Yeah.
least be afraid and be shocked. And the fact that she's telling him, don't be afraid, he's like, what? What are you talking about? But, yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you want to jump off with this one?
Why don't you take the reins here? You lead us
Okay, let's
into
start
the
at the
promised land.
at the top
Yeah.
with the Andy of it all, because this will
Okay.
take us to many other avenues, I'm
All
sure.
right.
But I still find it incredibly gratifying that we open this film, and I remember even noticing like the angle that he caught the building of the restaurant is the angle of the original movie poster with, Andy Barclay's
No.
childhood, apartment
Yeah.
and stuff. There's just tons of things like that that are littered throughout this movie. So I love that we're seeing Andy now and that we're basically focusing on a date that is going horribly wrong. and and that you can see him like recognize everything's going south fast and that he doesn't quite fit. So while he is, quote unquote our resident final boy,
Mm.
he's not living an easy life. And I just love the turn, the exposure to this character that he is beyond like not doing well. There is a weird, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say dichotomy, but there is a weird kind of like truth to Chucky being his best friend still, in the sense that like Chucky seems to be the only person who knows Andy.
Hmm.
And this exchange that the severed head that arrived, that he basically blew off of the doll that was trying to kill him at the end of the button of Curse. He there's something incredibly relaxed and incredibly like even the fact that he lets Chucky like take a drag off of his joint and
Hmm.
stuff. There's an insight that Chucky has to Andy, and he loves, even though he's getting tortured and he knows the next torture session is just coming around the bend, he loves fucking with his head, but what more so loves that Andy isn't going to do away with him entirely because he needs too much to torture Chucky. So as long as he's torturing me, there will be breaks, there will be intervals where I can torture him back. And
Hmm.
Chucky, based off of like, his function with Tiffany, the only other kind of like long-term relationship that he has in this
Yeah.
series, like, and now Nika's been introduced as well. Chucky is all about the mutual torture. So I don't know, in an odd way, Andy has reached a point where he can only really kind of occupy a world where Chucky is an actual entity and he can only really engage in toxic exchanges like that. I get off on that. So, what do you got to say?
Um, well, as we know canonically, Andy
Yes.
Barclay is a Scorpio. I think his
Yes.
November, was it November 11th?
You would know better than I would. Go on.
This is your favorite fucking movie franchise.
I've never been good with dates. Look at my history grades
Mm,
throughout school. I've never, no, that's not what I glom onto.
fair, fair. Um, but there is like, like sometimes like I feel being empowered and motivated by
Hmm.
your enemies is something. It's just like that saying like keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Sure.
It's like you need that push, that darkness to just sort of like, oh, you motherfucker. Like you're I
Yeah.
you
To give you
I'm
your purpose.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it makes sense, and I like that aspect of it. I wish that, that where we started, because I liked the beginning of the movie. I liked that
Mm.
that reveal and discovery, and I feel that, there might have been a better movie in there for me, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So if they'd stuck with that direction, if we
I
like
think that if
stuck
I
with.
think that if they had stuck with Alex Vincent
Mhm.
as the lead here. And I love Fiona. I
Yeah.
love that character, but it's just like it felt like we're trying to do too many things. And this is, you mentioned that things like started to feel like television. This
Hmm.
is where it really like it started maybe more so in like the aesthetic with um Curse for me, but in this movie
Mm.
it does feel very episodic. It's like
Hmm.
we're cutting back to this storyline and this storyline and this storyline, and it ends in a way that feels very like cliffhanger, just like stay tuned for next week. Only it was
Right.
like,
Right.
you gotta wait 5 years now because there isn't a next week. So yeah, I was just sort of like I was getting pulled around, and most of the time we were in this institution. So I think that had it been a scenario, like I couldn't think off of the top of my head what that movie would be with like Andy versus Chucky,
Mm.
but I was looked hooked in. I think that like the opening of this movie is a really good hook.
That the only social spaces they can occupy are with each other,
Yeah.
basically at this point. But okay, see, you that's an interesting because you're making me remember because I remember at the release of this film, a lot of people were thumbs down about it.
Mhm.
So none of these people's rankings today in our feed, are much of a surprise to me. The thing is, I remember feeling, and again, I understand why this might be a point against it as a film, or even just as I guess, a next chapter for a lot of people. Everything just kind of worked for me because of its episodic nature, because of the way it seemed to tie multiple worlds that I had been waiting for years to be tied together. Because the most recent, here we talk about the most recent entry with Fiona Dourif with Nika. Prior to that, we had like our Tiffany movies, and prior to that, it was the Andy versus Chucky thing. And
Mhm.
all three of those worlds are brought together and interact with each other almost barely, but still, there's something about the sliding doors aspect, the way that they seem to kind of just be missing each other, but the one thing they all have in common is Chucky. There's something about it that I find incredibly gratifying, and it doesn't bother me that it doesn't have like that kind of beginning and end of a film, especially the end. Like I remember a lot of people complaining at the time of its release that it didn't have an ending. It just seemed to kind of literally drive off into the horizon.
Mhm.
And all that did for me was whet my appetite to see what was going to happen next, because it seemed like there were boundless opportunities. And I was so proud of Don Mancini for, number one, just holding on to this franchise for as long as he had. And I don't know, for me, I felt like it was connected beautifully. And then just to see it to bait me, just literally just kind of like, so what's going to happen next? And I was going like, yeah, what's going to happen next? And I didn't mind waiting. I was primed when I found out that the series was coming, and it really, I don't know, this is the right week to be watching something that kind of straddles cinema and television in feel, seeing as how, as of this recording, this was the same week we found out that Netflix bought out Warner Brothers, and people have a lot of, opinions
Yeah.
about that as well. I have my own feelings too. I'm worried, but I'm wondering, like, is it possible to blur a line between, kind of like what's admissible? Like, for a long time, movies and TV were both kind of, it had a lot in common as pillars of entertainment, but were separated in terms of like the prestige that they allowed for and the way that we accessed them. Like, movie stars always seemed to be, these symbols that were on top of mountains that we would watch from a distance and applaud. And then people on TV were like family members, people we invited into our home. And that line seems to be blurring more and more as the internet has, kind of like been the main source for most people of the content that they consume. So I don't know, there's something about this, the fact that it's strung together so exquisitely, in my opinion. I don't know. I kind of, it's nice to have an example of when it worked for me, you know? Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, I guess maybe. By the way, it's the Netflix Warner Brothers thing is not a done deal.
Right.
Paramount actually just launched a hostile bid.
Oh, jeez.
Uh,
Oh, God.
so
All
it
right.
could
So
it, it
we'll
could it,
see.
it could wind up with Paramount, which I think would actually be a much better alternative. But
Mm, that's a whole other
that's
pot.
just me. Just that won't happen. But yeah, I don't know. There's aspects of this that and I feel it's almost like there's uh, a, a similarity in the way that Curse ended because like Curse and we didn't know this at the time because it was just sort of like a button, as you would say, with
Hmm.
Andy showing up at the end as a cameo. And for all intents and purposes with that movie, it's just like when I first saw that, I didn't see that cameo at the end and expect that to mean, oh, the next movie is going to be an Andy centric movie. I just thought, oh, they're
Sure.
just, fan service or whatever. They're just
Hmm. Hmm.
getting everything in there. So then when this movie Cult came out, and I saw that like Alex Vincent was there, and especially in the opening here, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna follow his character, and
Hmm.
then we deviate from that path, and they do a very similar thing in this movie, depending on which version you saw of it.
Right, right.
Where at the end there's another button, only this time Kyle now shows up,
Sure.
and it's just like, okay, so you're just doing this is just the pattern here. Is like you're gonna have like a cameo at the end of each movie because like that if when you reframe that at the end of Curse that Alex Vincent is there, then you'd be like, okay, so now it's gonna be like he's got the series again. It's gonna be following him. Yeah, I'm on board for that. But knowing that like, okay, but then they're just gonna kind of come back and meander through that and like focus on other characters instead. And that was kind of the same thing. Like when Kyle showed up, I'm like, well, they're just gonna blow this one too. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, like I feel that, I think that they did a better job in it, like at least with season one with those
Hmm.
characters.
Hmm.
But there was, we had notes about that. We talked
We
about the
totally
the
did, yeah.
the Kyle of it all in the
Yes.
series. So like I'm watching this movie and there are things in it that are very interesting,
Hmm.
but it almost feels like they're scattered in a way, or just like they happen here and there's not really a follow through, follow through,
Right.
or it's just like shows up at the end to like tease some like a movie or like a television show or whatever that might not happen. We don't know. It's almost like Don Mancini is hedging his bets and just being like, well, if I leave a little something, maybe that'll make them want to invest in this again later on. And I don't like when movies and shows do that. Like, I'd rather, like, if you have the thing that you want to use, like, use it, like, have it in the movie. So, I mean, like, there was a way that if you're going to bring Kyle into this movie, you could have done that. Like, it could have been something that was, like, within the body of the movie, and that would have been fun. It's like, Kyle's back, instead of just, like, leaving that as, like, blue balls at the end of the movie, which
See,
is
I
kind of
enjoy
like
the
which is
tease.
yeah, but but that ultimately became what the ending of Curse was with Andy, because it's just like, yeah, I feel like now we're getting a movie that, I mean, for what I would have liked should have been Andy's H2O, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not that. And I don't know, I just mostly I feel that the strengths of this movie are Chucky, like just like I guess the multiple Chuckies and sort of like the what the fuckery of it all,
Sure.
and just sort of like getting to that point. And for me, that's when the movie starts to get interesting. And by that point,
Huh.
it's like there's like 15 minutes left. So,
Oh.
I really wish that they just kind of got to that quicker and then let that be the movie. I would have liked to spend more time in the chaos of it all rather than the mystery, because I don't feel that the mystery was really all that compelling.
See, for me, the hook worked just as, I mean, I feel like there were a lot of things that were just kind of sprinkled out for me that I just kept feeding on with this movie. I literally like kind of envision Don Mancini just like with kind of like he's Elliot in E.T. with Reese's Pieces, and he's just dropping them, like out alongside the lawn in his backyard, and I'm just picking him up and following him up into his bedroom where we're going to like have wild adventures together. But
Mhm.
because I think the first hook in addition to like because obviously we depart from Andy after like the opening credits, and then we immediately find ourselves on voyaging into Harrogate Psychiatric Hospital with Nika,
Mhm.
and I love the question mark over my head as to here we see Nika denying the truth about what happened to her in Curse, and I love not knowing, does she actually believe that she's schizophrenic and that she basically hallucinated Chucky and all of it and murdered her family, and she's been conditioned to believe that? Or is she just playing it safe? Is she just, like saying she knows she's just going to seem crazy and she's never going to get out of what was the other place where she was being held? The facility. I wrote it down somewhere here. It doesn't matter.
It was
Lockmore.
Yeah.
Lockmore
It
was the
was a
name
very
of it.
distinct, like aptly
Yes.
named, like Lockmore.
More locks. But
Yeah.
so she was so if
Lockmore
she
medium security.
yeah, if she doesn't
Yeah.
want to be in more security and she wants to be in medium security, then she needs to kind of play the game. So I was watching the movie in my initial viewing, and even this time around, because this is another one that, I mean, it made my top 10 of like, the new millennium list for a reason. And I think a big
Okay.
part of it is because I don't overwatch it. I've already seen it probably like 8 times, which is a lot, but that's like once a year. But but I don't want to overwatch it either because I don't want to get used to it because I don't know because I was still wondering like, oh yeah, did we ever find out like what she does? And ultimately we find out that she's been hypnotized this entire time by Dr. Foley. So probably most of like what she's been programmed to believe about like what she's done isn't even something she's like kind of had a catharsis about and decided to surrender to. It's almost like he's programmed her to believe that she committed all of that, and she's just living on in her a reality now that is
Yeah.
informed by like this altered consciousness that he has her
So
her
has
frequency on. Yeah,
was it established that he had been hypnotizing her like before that?
yeah.
Before we see him do that?
Because he said like something about like I've missed these little sessions of ours, haven't you? And she says no. So obviously, like he's been
Yeah.
abusing his position of power with her for probably as long as there, probably as early as there was like an open window of opportunity for him to start doing it.
Gotcha.
Um,
See, I was just like there was just a lot of things that I was not following along with.
oh, okay.
Or like ever have when I've watched this. But like my perception of Nika throughout this movie is that I just go from like what the continuity was where we left her off in
Sure.
Curse, where
Hmm.
she's getting wheeled out of the courtroom and she's just like, I know it was you or
Yeah,
whatever, like
you didn't get
that.
me.
Yeah, exactly. So I take that and if there is a moment where she's just like, maybe I did, like that to me is just strategy. That's like her sort of like either like whether she's like thinking up an exit plan or is quite literally just sort of like trying to survive day to day and
Hmm.
gauging the
Hmm.
situation because she does make the decision here to take her own life. So it's
Yeah.
like clearly she's just like, got to the point like, is this even worth it? To like what I've had to deal with. And oh God, it gets so much worse for her
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Oh
as,
God,
as
beyond
the
this
series
movie?
goes on. And
Yes.
I think like that's really like my issue with where the franchise goes after Seed, because I feel like Seed was such a like it just so bombastic and it just like it's so much fun, and I
Uh-huh.
think that it just like it was I don't know if it was like ahead of its time or what the issue is because I know that people still look at that and just be like, oh, that's a piece of crap, but I think that it was it obviously wasn't taken kindly to, and
Oh
it
yeah,
took a
still
huge
isn't.
swing.
It
It
still isn't.
Yeah, it took a huge swing in a direction where it was almost like maybe that the mindset for John Mancini was like, okay, we need to like get serious here,
Hmm.
and I find that Curse and Cult especially feels very dour and dire,
Hmm.
and I don't enjoy that. Like I love when Chucky is fun. And I feel like another thing that they've done with Chucky, and this is especially moving into this television series, is that they almost make Chucky too powerful. Like just like the immortality, the invincibility, like I feel like there's no stakes for him. And I feel that Chucky as a character within his franchise is just as much a character that we're following and rooting for or rooting against as like any of the other, Nikas or Jesse and Jades or Andy and Karen, what have you.
Uh-huh.
And there's just like something that I love in like especially like the OG movie of just
Hmm.
like that manic desperation that Brad Dourif plays so well
Oh
with
yeah.
Chucky and just like the "give me the boy and I'll let you live," and just like the craziness, because it's like Chucky is not, like, he has limitations. Like,
Right.
you always hear people being like, well, Chucky's not a threat, like those polls online where it's just like, who would you rather go toe to toe with, Michael Myers
Hmm.
or Chucky? And people are like, Chucky, I would just like bunt him across the room. And like, but yeah, that is a thing. There are limitations, and I think that like Chucky is not invincible. He's not so powerful to the point where he can just walk into a room and murder a bunch of people off screen, as we've seen many a
Hmm.
time, especially in the television series. I like to see Chucky fail, or at least like get really close. We were talking
Hmm.
about, because I've been watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've been binging it. And I was just like, I love like just watching these people, because like I want to see them win. And you're like, well, it's not that you want to see them win.
Hmm.
It's just that you want to see what happens.
Hmm.
Like how magnificently is this going to get screwed up? And you're
Okay.
right, because you're not wanting to see them win. You're just wanting to see like what's the fallout going to be. And I feel with Chucky, I want to see what the fallout is going to be, because the way that he's presented in these later movies is just sort of like, we don't have the answers. Like, he's got a plot brewing. Like, there's always some sort of like thing, and I don't think that Chucky is a mysterious character. I think that it worked in the first movie because that was the first movie. It sort of set the precedent for who he was. But once he kind of revealed himself and had that wonderful moment where his head spinned around and he's like, "You
Hmm.
stupid bitch, you filthy
Yeah.
slut,"
Right. Right.
that it's like, he can never go back from that. I feel that like Chucky gets to places within this franchise where it's like, you've now set a new precedent and you have to go with it. And this is the same thing with Seed at the end, when he's, you know, makes that realization, like, I don't want to be a human. Like, this is like,
Hmm.
I'm actually perfectly content being in this doll's body.
Sure.
That it's like Chucky is like ostensibly claimed his spot as the main character of this franchise. It's like, it's about him. We're following him. So I don't like when they, or like what they do with Curse and Cult, where it's just sort of, they move him back into the shadows and they make his motives obscured, and we don't really know what's going on. And it's almost like a thing like, well, this is what it is. And I mean, like, I liked that, like, we find out that there's three of them, and that twist, and what's happening, and like his
Hmm.
innovations with the voodoo. But it's like, okay, cool, give that to me earlier. I want to see that play out. I want to see like the craziness of that and how everything's gonna fuck up at the end. And I want to see him get to that point where it's like, because I've just been so engrossed in whatever his scheme is, that it's just
Right.
like, maybe I don't want to see him win, maybe I do, but I want to see it play out. And it's frustrating, like I said, with like the blue ball effect of a movie like this, where you get to the end and there's the whole thing where like Nika is now Chucky,
Yeah.
and he's driving off with Tiffany, and I feel like that's not an ending. That's not a conclusive uh end to whatever this narrative is that has been presented and what is going on with Nika. I don't want to see like a lead into another movie. Just give me one movie, and if I like that, and if it's good, then yeah, I'll be excited for the next one. But I don't want to be left off feeling like, I just sat through an entire thing and there really was no conclusion, and I guess I have to wait till next week to find out. And then 5 years later.
Okay.
And that is sort of the what Don Mancini did with the series, like where we left
Mm.
off at the end of season three. And it's just like,
Right. Right. Right.
it started here. It started with the, well, like, Curse. So in a
Okay.
nutshell, I think that's my problem. Thank you for, letting me get that out, because that
Of
was a lot.
course.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
No.
saying thank you to you, but thank you to everyone for listening
For sitting
and
through
letting me,
the yeah.
yeah.
We're all your therapists, Zach.
I
We're all
had to, I had
here.
to, I had to talk it out. I had to do the math in my head.
This is where the work begins. So
Yeah.
I'll do what a therapist would never do and hit you with my rebuttal about my own POV
Please. Yeah.
about this particular subject matter, and instead of like talking about yours.
Yeah.
No, I will say, I think those are all valid arguments, and like I said, they're not uncommon. The thing is, what works for me about kind of like these ubiquitous Chuckies that that Nika seems to just be kind of like wading through, the entire movie. The thing about it that I guess makes it work for me is not so much the mystery aspect trying to be like doubled down on or bank cashed in on again for the same effect it was in the first movie. I think it's much more a sequel, like a successful example of like what it is in a sequel where the audience clearly knows the threat, but they know that the people within the framework of the film fall into one of two categories usually. There's like the people BC, before Chucky, and then the people after their realization that, like, oh my God, everything that that maniac was screaming about this doll being alive and killing people is
Yeah.
actually true because I'm confronted with the reality of it right now. What I love is, I think, just the way that it kind of dances, the way that, like we watch like two people holding Chucky dolls or good guy dolls, but they are Chucky dolls, like passing each other in a
Mhm.
hallway, kind of regarding each other in slow motion, while Nika might be lurking around a corner, giving like, this nefarious look to both of them, not trusting either of them because we know what it is to be her, but we also know that these are rational places to be for these other people. I mean, I think a character who I was worried about the first time I screened it was Claire, the one in group who is consistently calling
Yeah.
out Nika
Yeah.
on her quote unquote bullshit. And, like just stop making this group about you and stop blaming something else. And even when she seems like a real hard ass because even when Nika brings what her version of her reality, her hypnotized reality that she doesn't know is her hypnotized reality yet, to her about like how I'm schizophrenic and I was jealous of my sister and of my mother and that's why I killed them and all this. Um, I kind of love the fact that we get to watch how quickly Claire turns over because all that needs to happen is that she needs something to happen to her that is unexplainable, which is I'm holding this doll, I'm going to throw it down the chute. I immediately have a bite mark on my arm. There is no one in the hallway. I would have seen them. So the only logical explanation is this Chucky did it. And
Mhm.
immediately suffers consequences because of again a kill that I find. I love the fact that it's equal parts throwback because it brings me back to Tiffany's honeymoon kill in
Mm.
Bride of Chucky with the shards of glass falling down on
Right.
the
The
waterbed and
waterbed,
everything.
yeah.
But there's a new aspect introduced to it. There's like and maybe it's not enough of a twist for some people, but for me, there's something about being immobilized to the point because those two honeymooners and bride didn't know that the shards were going to fall until like
Yeah.
seconds before. Claire had a lot more time to sit there completely immobilized by a drug while she's strapped to this like hospital chair bed thing. Look, just watching the snow fall, and she gets to just kind of see this doll rushing around her and even talking to her about like what's what I don't know if this is gonna work like but let's see what we can do and then he just like chucks this the air pressure pressurized air or
Mhm.
pressurized oxygen is that does that mean what I think it means well let's find out kind of thing. It's like just this playful thing and then just kind of shoots it. This is something that Michael Myers can be playful, but not like this. He's not going to sit there and go, "Ooh, is this going to work? I hope it does." Right before he kills you. He'll do his version of that, but not like
Yeah.
this. Not verbally. And then I just love Chucky setting it off and just watching tears slowly stream down the face of this person who I have not empathized with for much of her screen time. But now that it took her absolutely no time to buy into like what was actually going on, and now that she's fully conscious yet completely immobile, there's nothing to do but just, and I guess this is kind of dire, but there's nothing to do but just witness your own execution essentially.
Mhm.
And I don't know, the artfulness of it, the beauty that he's able to kind of like achieve in this horrific kill that I find so impactful. I love that she gets decapitated by this giant glass shard that just her head rolls across to Chucky's feet, and all he has to do is reposition himself afterwards and plan for the next thing. I don't know. like you mentioned something about the mystery not paying off for you, and I love that there's multiple mysteries going on. I love that another one is with multiple Malcolm. We think we've met him when he introduces himself as Michael
Mhm.
to Nika, and then the next time she sees him, he's Mark. So he's been, what was it? Mike, was it Michael Phelps? Then he's Mark Zuckerberg, and then I forget who he is after that. He's never Malcolm. She's told by someone else that we call him multiple Malcolm. He's like, nobody calls me that. But then
Mhm.
immediately he disappears into the grave with a Chucky doll for um, a kind of like immeasurable amount of time,
Yeah.
gets pulled out, gives this knowing, almost Chucky, Charles Lee Ray-esque look to Nika, and we're left to wonder, like, oh my God, so wait, did the doll? That seems like an odd thing. Wouldn't he be more active if he were? But I don't know. I don't know what's going to come next. And I don't know, I even in this screening, I love finding out that he's not. Like literally after
Yeah.
Chucky goes into Nika's body and walks over to him and he's just kind of like, I did it. And she's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I had to wonder about it at first. I was just kind of like, wait, so I guess like one of the Chucky dolls must have done that to that nurse, the one with the children, the judgmental one who, chews out fucking
Did she
Madeline
have
for some.
kids? I
I mean,
questioned that. I was just
you
like,
think
she has two kids? Okay, whatever.
you think she was just being bitchy?
I think so, yeah.
No, I thought she was just obviously like she wasn't cut out for her position because like I think the next scene we see her in,
Mhm.
she's like, "This is too much for me. I can't be here," and she gives up her little badge and leaves.
Mm.
And then on the way out, one of the Chucky dolls, I guess, had a good time, or maybe it was even Charles Lee Ray and Nika's body. We don't know. But then Malcolm came upon it and was just kind of like, "Yeah, I did it because I'm Charles Lee Ray." But I don't know. Again, you're right. I can't say you're wrong saying about how dire it is. There is something that I guess I innately gravitate to in terms of
Mm.
just the darkness of like Chucky. Maybe that's the difference for me. Is like watching Chucky in this quote unquote like cuckoo's nest, kind of scenario, watching all of these people who are basically prisoners of their own mental illness because he even says through Nika to multiple Malcolm before he gets taken out. Just kind of like I can't remember the exact way that Chucky puts it, but he says something like, "You're crazy." And not in the fun way like me, you know? And I'm just like, yeah, that's right. These people aren't having any fun with their illness. So maybe that's a benefit
Mm.
to being Chucky. And maybe that's part of the relief that I experience because in an odd way, Chucky gets to be kind of like the most, I would never say healthy, but the most well-adjusted, self-accepting character in that entire facility, including Andy, including Nika, um, and even including
Mm.
Tiffany, because even Tiffany still experiences a little bit of conflict. She still obviously finds all the power and justification in sitting there as Jennifer Tilly and waving it off, going like, I get that all the time, to when Nika tells her, you look exactly like Jennifer Tilly.
Mhm.
Um,
Is that
but then
consistent with uh, where we find her in the series? Because I thought she was just living as Jennifer Tilly at that point.
she was, but that doesn't mean that she has to go admitting that she's Jennifer Tilly everywhere she goes. Like she obviously
So
wanted Nika,
she hadn't gotten to that point yet.
she
Because that would
wanted
have just
Nika
been
to,
random if, sorry, it would have been random
no,
if it's just like, I'm Jennifer Tilly, I was the guardian of your niece.
no, but I think she wanted Nika to put it
Yeah.
together that Tiffany Valentine was the girlfriend of Charles Lee Ray later, like she does in
Oh.
Group. She wanted her to connect it later. And again, it might have been fun if she'd just been Jennifer Tilly, and then she just goes kind of like, wait, the Tillys. Chucky told me the night that, we everything went haywire.
Yeah.
He told me that he's been through the Barclays, the Kincaids, the Tillys. That might have been fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, that Chucky is like the most well-adjusted person, the most self-accepting, because even he's reeling from the things like when he sees Dr. Foley and knocks him out. He's just kind of like, oh, this guy. I don't know whether to kill him or just take notes. But even even in that, see, this is what keeps it interesting for me because I'll go back to Jennifer Tilly in a second. But with Chucky.
Yeah.
I opened up with the line, "This is for Nika." It's probably the most merciful thing he does in the entire movie. And again, maybe he's just, I don't know, it makes me wonder, where did that come from? Like, is it just that, like, yeah, I'm sick, but you're sicker? Like, at least I end it at some point. Like, I kill people, I torture them. I even imprisoned a
Mm.
woman who was pregnant, and with Nika, like years and years and years ago. But dude, there are things that you're into that I would
Yeah.
ne those are lines I would never cross, kind
I
of thing.
think that it was a justification because
Okay,
I feel that Chucky sometimes needs to justify himself
right,
for what he does. So it's just sort of
maybe,
like, yeah, this is for Nika. You know, it's really for him, but he's
right.
gonna say it's for Nika and do it anyway because that's ultimately what it is.
You know what? It's the
Yeah.
ultimate mind fuck to Dr. Foley because if he has to witness whether he believes he's witnessing Charles Lee Ray or Nika, whatever,
Mhm.
but that's the thing. Yeah, that does the most damage. If he says this is for Nika, it's basically telling Dr. Foley, you deserve this, you piece of shit. So
Mhm.
whether Chucky, would ever align himself with behavior like that or not, I think he knew that it would just, do the most damage prior to the kill, which is, of
Yeah.
course, Chucky's wheelhouse. Have as much fun as
Yeah.
possible and do as much damage as you can.
I mean, look, Chucky's done the worst things, and first, I don't know if he's actually like ended up on the cherry picker at any point, but I mean, he
No.
certainly has deserved to.
Hmm.
That's for sure.
Yeah, he wasn't all that accepting of Glenn and Glenda initially. There was a lot of
Well,
"That's my boy."
I'm talking more about like just killing people here.
And here
Your
I'm thinking about
your
like
your
a
gender
heteronormative
identity and
father.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the
Yeah.
killing, but I mean again, is the killing really a surprise at this point? No, it's just kind of like where what goes with the territory with Chucky. Being upset that Chucky's killing people at this point is I don't even want to come up with a
It's
comparison.
no, no, well, it's not upset about the killing people, but like the I guess the psychological and physical torture
Hmm.
of like Nika and her family
Yeah,
and like all that and just like and not even just like in the that movie and Curse, but just like over a period of time, like killing their father and like all that
right.
stuff. Like it's just like there's some like dick moves there. So
That's
even
true.
like even if you enjoy Chucky as a character, it's just like you're kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he is
Yeah.
100%. But I guess watching him, it's fun to watch someone who's committed atrocities witness someone else committing
Mhm.
atrocities and just watch where their barometer is. Like,
Yeah.
and I love that he's confused. Again, that's the most conflict we probably witness him experience is like, I don't know whether to kill him or take notes. Like, I'm confused because it's almost admirable what this guy's doing.
Mhm.
But, with Jennifer Tilly, like, again, like we see with Tiffany, like towards the end, like she has that moment of hesitation where she's just kind of like, what's wrong, Tiff? And she's just kind of like, I don't know, just thinking about Alice, kind of feeling a little bad about it, and and all Chucky has to do is go, nah, fuck that kid. And then she's like, okay, and then they just start laughing before
Yeah.
they drive off into the proverbial sunset.
Hmm.
Um, but I again, in terms of like the I guess the threat of Chucky looming as large as it can. I don't know. I guess the fact that he doesn't seem to be taking it all for granted, he's definitely taking the advantages that are handed to him by being able to house himself in multiple vessels,
Hmm.
dolls, humans alike, whatever. But I also like kind of watching the discovery of him, like we mentioned already, his interaction uh, with Angela, the older woman who's like seeing, who's telling him like, "Don't be afraid," and he's just kind of like, "Where's Nika?" But I don't know, just watching him in an unfamiliar terrain because I mean, we know that he was raised in a facility. I don't remember if all of that, if any of that was alluded to in the movies prior to this. We learned this in the series afterward about
Yeah.
him being this like troubled youth. I forget what the name of it was, but like the home for
Um,
like juvenile something or
yeah.
other. It was fun. It was
There's
a fun name,
that's the thing
whatever it
that
was.
yeah, Don Mancini really likes to give names to locations like
Yeah, to institutions. Lockmore.
Lockmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here with Harrogate, I guess like because I mean even the way she gets introduced, like to go back to like Nika kind of moving into this scenario. I love the hook. For me, it's a hook with Carlos, her nurse, who,
Mhm.
granted, we don't spend much time with him, like in the movie, but just like seeing him walk this line of like establishing a boundary with her, but also feeling some kind of like impulse to be kind to her by like leaving her a piece of gum, but not wanting her to believe it means anything. And then in the next scene, for her to see him and wave to him because it's somebody I know, and he doesn't return the wave because I have to be careful. I have to keep boundaries with with the people that I work with, even no matter how much I care about them. Almost gives him like a Mary Poppins quality that I just thought like, okay, but you're a real nurse. Like you're into healing, you're into mending, and
Mhm.
if Nika's really here to get better, if there's a chance for it, you probably don't see a lot of it. And so that's probably why it's worth investing, but this is also just day one. So I don't know, things like that. Um, just kind of like they're like continual examples of, just like I said, like little details about characters here and there. While they may not occupy a tremendous amount of screen time, and we may not learn an awful lot about them
Mhm.
before they get taken out, I just like um taking the bait. I just like following the course that Don Mancini has carved out for me with this movie. And I think the only harsh note that I have for the entire thing, like I can see where people have their issues with this and that. We've already talked about like, the lack of kind of closure and stuff like that. It not feeling like an isolated kind of like cinematic experience was one of the biggest criticisms at the time of its release. But it also felt like a reward for me as a fan, like my attention to this franchise thus far was really being rewarded,
Mhm.
because I know who that is and I know what that thing is. When they talk about the even the multiple murderer versus mass murderer thing, I'm just kind of like, ah, Bride of Chucky. Just, I don't know,
Mhm.
it was but it didn't seem to derail anything. It never like
Yeah.
pulled me out of like the situation. I just thought this is a universe where that's an eternal an eternal question
Yeah.
or an
And I guess
eternal
I
argument that
just
people have.
yeah, and I just mostly look at like fan service like that nowadays, and I'm like, oh Christ, it's the shrine all over again, and story schmory. We don't need any of that. We just have to have props.
But I mean,
There's
again,
the
we go
there's the
from
knife that Charlie stabbed Kirby with. Like, yeah,
right,
that's
but
gonna
there's
elicit some pain.
sure no. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that's we're talking about like a key set piece versus like
Hmm.
like a fleeting detail that just kind of sweetens the ride for me, as far as my perspective is concerned.
Yeah.
But like I mean, oh, but like the like I was going to say, the harshest criticism I have is I think for Nika's nightmare that she has when she is confronted with the visage of kind of the ghost of Alice down that hallway, and she looks over her shoulder, and I like the effect of just her seeing a shadow of Chucky approaching, but there's no body there. The thing that I think the thing that it's such a minimal thing, but it's just the appearance of the giant Chucky that's like lording over her. Again, it looks like very last minute. It looks like, something that isn't even like TV. To me, it actually does. It's probably the thing that looks closest to like a direct to streaming kind of effect for me. But the
Mm.
thing is, all it makes me think is just like, oh, what could have been? Like, it would have been interesting if they could have just like, gotten like a regular size Chucky doll and like a miniature set of, the hallway, but like one that where he's filling it, kind of like Lewis Carroll style, like a giant Alice in Wonderland. Ooh,
Mm.
Alice. But just kind of like making his way down the hall, like crawling and reaching for her or something. That could have
Hmm.
been really cool and scary.
Well, I mean,
Um,
just to like employ any sort of practical effects because it felt like so much of this movie was just CGI. Like you mentioned the decapitation
oh, right,
earlier, and
right.
I'm just like, this is just like it doesn't look good. And I don't know if like where are we at with CGI? Or I guess like even like 8 years ago, because like you talk about a movie like Hollow Man that came
Mm-hmm.
out in 2000, and that was like had a budget of 100 million
Mm-hmm.
to make, and those like that CGI was Academy Award nominated. Like it
Sure.
was state of the art at the time. You
Yeah,
watch
at
it
its
now,
time,
and you're
yeah.
just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, so I don't know if like they like CGI got better and it became like more efficient or like it was more affordable or whatever. But like it must have been like if this is a Netflix situation in 2017 and you're having CGI,
Hmm.
like I would think like okay, they're using CGI effects that are probably like relatively cheap, like cheaper than like doing anything practically.
Sure.
But I mean like the CGI is something that has plagued this franchise for a while
Hmm.
now. So I don't
Even
know. It's
Seed.
just
Yeah.
Seed for sure, had its moments.
But I think maybe because like again, like there's something about like the not the plot, but the action that's moving forward. Like I just love the push and pull between like Nika and her questionable sanity and Chucky, like when she makes the suicide attempt. Well, also, first of all, I also do love the way that Jennifer Tilly, or well, Tiffany, basically tells her she died of a broken heart.
Oh, that was
Just
just
to,
cruel.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know, just to melodramatically like twist the knife deeper
Mhm.
into Nika and then sit like a good guy doll on her lap. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God, it's so evil. It's so venomous.
Yeah.
But I still can
Well,
laugh at it
what's
because
funny is that even what's this, the doctor,
oh
um,
yeah,
who's apparently like Chucky is like, you're more evil than I am. He's sitting there and he's just like, Jesus Christ, lady, like,
right.
give us a little heads up next time. So it's
Yeah,
like
it's like now,
this like hierarchy of evil. It's just like there's Chucky, then there's this doctor, but Jennifer Tilly
right,
is is like the worst. Like she's just
right.
like the cruelest, most
Everyone is reeling from
yeah,
somebody else. Everybody's pointing the finger at someone else, going like, "You're
yeah,
sick."
yeah.
But yeah, but also just like the fact that he's just like, "Is that the doll?" She's like, "No, it's something Alice worked through with therapy." Well, it looks like it worked fantastically. But anyway,
Yeah.
the thing is, after that, see, I think that Alice, because even the way you see like Fiona Dourif play it, like when she wheels into the room, she thinks she has a visitor. Of course, she thinks it's Alice, and there's this kind of kid on Christmas morning thing, like in her, this hope that we haven't
Mhm.
seen, and then it's immediately doused. So I just kind of feel like Alice was the representation of like what she might have been working toward. Like I still have family outside of here. I'll still have someone who knows what went down, who might be able to forgive, if they even need to, and who I might be able to connect with, like when I get out of here, and when that possibility is taken away, and the fact that it's a child is all probably, a big part of what prompts the suicide attempt. But I love the way Chucky discovers her. I love the fact that he saves her to torture her more so. And I love the fact that like what
Well,
she wakes up to.
is
Yeah,
he saving her to torture her more, or is he saving her because she's part of his plan?
both.
Which is just, yeah, I don't,
Yeah. I think it's
yeah,
both. But I think but because the
yeah.
the message that he leaves her is not so fast. Like there'll
I
be
don't,
plenty of time for you to
yeah.
be for you to die, but not now, not
I
yet.
just feel, I mean, like, I feel like with Chucky, like, he definitely likes to torture people. I don't get that
Yeah.
sense of like that's his motivation for, um, Nika. I don't know why I just had a brain freeze there. I wanted to say Fiona, but it just seems like he's gonna do what he does, and if it's torturous to people, like he's fine with that. So I never feel like a vendetta or like that he's going after her specifically, as in the same way where he would be going after an Andy.
Well,
And well, one thing that we see specifically here in this movie is that, and this is probably like the first time in this franchise that this has happened as well, is that Andy is trying to prove
yeah.
that Chucky is Chucky. And, they're just like, nice prop, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Get a job in movies.
yeah, so to keep Nika alive, because like Nika still being alive, it's just sort of like, yeah, you're fucked for life, like sort of thing. Like, I don't have to worry about you. So it would seem weird for him to like go after her and try to torture her more if there was like a fear of like she was gonna try to expose Chucky, as it were, because it's like we can already see that like nobody's gonna expose Chucky. Chucky is in this day and age, nobody would see a Chucky and just think like, oh, that's real. Like it's like
But I
It's
mean,
it's
the
it's
next
crazy how ahead of its time like this concept was, you know?
Sure,
Yeah.
but immediately after, like, she discovers like her inner pool of blood, the not so fast, she drops the pillow over it. It's all very, tense for me. But then I love the fact that when they discover, I think it's Angie's body, after that, and she's been killed with the spoke from Nika's wheelchair. There's a like identical pool of blood like on the same side of Angie's bed as there was for Nika's, but
Hmm.
inscribed in it was Chucky did it. So who are they going to point the finger at? Obviously, the plan or the opportunity he was taking was to only incriminate Nika further, but certainly not to exonerate her.
Hmm.
Certainly not to make it any easier for her.
Does
And hold on,
does that make any sense though? Because it's,
hold on. Des is yelling. Hold
it's
on.
fine. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
She's she's in a medium security facility right now. If he's
Yeah.
gonna do that, they're gonna like haul her away and put her into a maximum security. So
But
it's like,
there's no direct proof that she did it. There's still an argument as to like whether she did it or not. So it's only to incriminate her. It's only
yeah,
to I think it's only to make
but
it more hopeless for her.
I know, but that's still thwarting his own plan.
By again, the idea of mystery around it, the idea of shrouding anything around doubt and not a clear delineation from A to
Yeah.
B, I think only helps him because in the interim, while people don't
Mhm.
know who did what and where things are, he can do whatever he wants.
I just feel that there's not really much of a through line of anything in this movie, so it's just like they're able to get away with shrouding it in mystery because it's like there's not really any questions to be satisfactorily answered.
Um, okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
just
if
how I
that's the
think.
way
It's
you
just
feel.
no, it's just like that's the thing. It's just like like all these like logic loopholes and like yeah, I realize I'm talking about a Chucky movie here, but for for how little we're actually given, just in terms of like realizing what the plan here is, it's just sort of like it's just stuff happening, and that's how I feel about two-thirds of this movie. It's just like we're moving from one room to another down a hallway, and sometimes we're going outside, and there's this, and it's just like there's just a lot of it just sort of blended in together for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I lied. I think I have one.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think I only
Yeah.
have I think I have one more complaint is that the drawer that Chucky retrieves his scalpel from the first night that he's going to go visit Nika, he finds the sharps drawer over by the reception area and there's no lock on it. And I'm like, you're in a
Mhm.
mental institution. You have a sharps drawer that is clearly marked and there's not going to be any lock. Like, I mean, again, they could have maybe it wanted, just to grease the wheels, just keep the action moving.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it would have been interesting if he could have found if he could have been the one to create like a missing spoke in Nika's like wheelchair to use that to pick the lock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Well,
one
you're
little
making
thing
me
that just
think there's
occurred to
like
me.
a drawer that's like labeled like dangerous materials. Don't like, it
Well,
just, I wish,
there are.
no, but I wish that they leaned into that more because that feels like, something that you would see in Scary Movie or something of just like safety this way, danger that way. Like, just like, let make this as ridiculous as possible. Like,
I mean, maybe. Yeah, just put a
I
big
might have enjoyed it more.
skull and crossbones, but
Yeah.
but
Well, that
again,
was
I
just the
mean,
vibe of Seed of Chucky, so I guess, we can't do that. We can't, it's too comical.
yeah, but no, I guess in terms of like the characters interacting and everything like that, I don't know. I enjoy the cock tease of it. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't even have to be a cock tease, just the tease, the genitals tease of it. I like the fact
Oh.
that because I don't know. There's something I remember. Little fireworks went off in my heart when I saw the split screen. I also love this the Brian De Palma split screen going on, but particularly when Tiffany calls Andy, and I'm watching these two characters interact for the first time, and they know exactly who each other are.
Mhm.
I even love her saying like. He says, "Who is this?" She's like, "Jennifer, Tiffany. I don't know. Even I have trouble keeping track." But just watching her like dance on the nose of him because she knows something bigger is coming. I mean, and maybe that's why I like the ubiquity of the Tiffany and well, because we only see one Tiffany doll, but there's going to be more to come. But definitely the Chucky dolls.
Mhm.
Um, like the beginning of this cult launching as they like kind of like, possess like one doll after another. There's something about it that it's, I don't know, it's in a weird way kind of sets the stage for the series in a way that like now that I've seen what the series is, I'm actually kind of bummed more by the decisions that were made there. Um,
Mhm.
because kind of like, oh my God, I don't mean to compare it to this movie, but because I have so much more fun watching this than Halloween 2018. But when I
Um,
didn't know what was on the horizon there, and then now that I've seen kills and I've seen ends, and in terms of just like a uniform story, like it's just kind of like a joke to me. So sitting through 2018 is harder now. Cult is not harder to sit through, but it just kind of feels like the overture for things that only partially get paid off for me later. Because I think
yeah.
if there is something that maybe works better in this series that I'm really, really glad people gravitated to, that maybe they were turned off by this movie for, it's the series definitely tied all of these storylines together as well, and then some. The only thing was it introduced a new crux with the Jake, Lexi, and Devin Evans of it all, that kind of, I don't know, kind of like looped you in. I think maybe the series did a better job of kind of like letting you know where you were with each character as far as like where we're meeting them, what they've been through, and now why, how they kind of like fit into the story from here on out than Cult did. Like I didn't need any context clues with Cult. And again, like I don't know, there's something that word again, mystery. Something
Mhm.
about like mysteriously. I love that it's not like a hard explanation as to like how what exactly has Jennifer Tilly been doing up until this point. I love she just kind of appears, kicks over her head, and then exit flourish.
Mhm.
And, also just the opportunity for Fiona Dourif to do something other than suffer. I didn't know what was on the horizon with the amount of suffering she was going to have to
Mhm.
do as Nika in the future, but with this movie. I was still hooked in watching her be Nika because I like Nika. I even love an itch got scratched for me from back in Curse, where she flirted with the delivery guy and nothing ever came of it because her mother discouraged it. Here she meets a guy, multiple Malcolm, in the facility, and within the first like half hour of knowing him, they find a place where she gets it on and she gets off with him. They fuck, and I'm like, good for you. Take care of your needs,
Fuck.
Nika. Find it where you need it and where you
Mhm.
can get it, and
I
just
feel like this is like
good
it's
for
actually a
you.
medium security is like
For
even then it's
security.
like this is like minimum. This is like bare minimum security.
I
They've
mean,
got one guard out front
right,
who like is easily taken out.
right,
The
right.
staff are not alert. They're not paying attention.
No, even
Um,
Carlos, when the Sharps drawer is getting invaded, he's got his like earbuds in and he's
yeah.
typing away his
Well,
back
and
into
like
the drawer.
these door like no one's door is locked at
Right.
night, so like people can just like walk in
Well,
and out
because
of the
there's more
rooms. Yeah.
freedom. There's more freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
guess
The
maybe
idea
the
is just
threat,
don't abuse it, you know.
the fact that
But
there's a bed with straps in it that they can put you in this room with a sunroof,
mm. But even
or
like the door outside isn't locked, you know. Like it's. But you mentioned the Halloween 2018
sure.
feeling the revisit of that is worse, after seeing where it goes. And I was actually thinking about that and you today before
Oh,
we were
oh,
doing this because I'm just like, yeah, I feel like that's kind of like where I'm at. Like that's just sort of what's reshaped everything that for
oh,
me
I
this
see.
franchise has moved to. It's like it's the first five movies and everything after that kind of uh escalates into this whatever it has become because there are highs, but like you go back and like I have not watched season one of Chucky again. Like I've
Hmm.
seen it twice at
Yeah, me
least,
too.
like when it aired and then before we covered it for the podcast.
Hmm.
And I just like I haven't had the urge to go back and watch it again because I know what comes next. I know where it goes, and it's sad when, something that you like is just like it just feels like it's not as good when you look back on it because of where you know it's going. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I
See,
guess that
and
that could
that
apply to this one for me too.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to this one as of yet. All it's done actually is the opposite for me.
Mm.
Is here I'm watching Cult of Chucky again, like my 2025 screening, I guess. And I all it did was make me, because I own, all three seasons on Blu-ray, so it's like
Mm.
it's made me want to go back and like dive in again just to kind of like see like how does it compare in terms of like the highs and the lows? Is it exactly the experience that I remember, or can I have more fun? This is a big question that can go either way with me these days, is upon a rewatch, can I have even more fun with it knowing what's coming? So I'm not like disappointed at like, oh, that's the choice you made. It's like knowing that that's the choice they made. Sometimes it's easier, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's just worse.
Yeah.
But I think bottom line is that with the as Don Mancini gained more and more control over the franchise, I saw more and more fans kind of falling away until the series got introduced and brought this like resurgence um, of excitement around
Yeah.
Chucky
Well,
as a
for season
franchise.
one, but then it
For
seemed
season
like
one,
people
yeah, for
people
season
started to
one.
fall away
And then
again.
season two, they started to fall away again.
Yeah.
And by three, we were all kind of sitting there going like, I don't know.
Is
But
it, I mean, like, do you, and I have lots of respect for Don Mancini, and I know that
mhm,
hold him up, very high.
yeah.
But is this maybe a case where, Don Mancini has great ideas and they need to be nurtured and sometimes like a producer just needs to get out of his way and let him do his thing, but then there's sometimes where it's just like actually we need to step in a little bit, we need to sometimes some meddling is good.
Well, I don't know because this is the thing. My opinions about Seed, Curse, and Cult are they're all in the top half, the upper echelon
Yeah.
of my rankings as far as this franchise is concerned. And those were the ones where he had the most control over the series. He was the executive producer and he had directed and written a number of episodes, but also some of the episodes were out of his hands. Some of them were directed by other
Mhm.
people. He was affected by a writer's strike. So I would love to hear him speak at some point to the experience of the series, and how much control he actually did
Yeah.
have. Because also in television, that can vary,
Do you,
depending on the project and the network.
yeah.
But
Do you also feel that because like he had been working a lot in television
Mhm.
around the time of Curse, because like he had done Hannibal.
They alluded to in
Um,
this movie, yeah.
but
Can't
but
believe
he
that
but
series got canceled.
yeah, he did Hannibal, and that was starting in 2012, I think is
Yeah.
when that came out. So it's almost like maybe his uh, preferences for filmmaking and story writing drifted more into a serialized kind of formula, and that's why
Mm,
these later movies are almost like that. It's almost like a TV movie or like a precursor to like an in-between show or like, I'm trying to think. Remember when I used to do like television specials
yeah.
where I mean it was more so like after series had been off the air for a while and just
Sure,
like we're just
sure.
gonna like revisit with these
Let's give
characters and
them a
see what's
TV
happening.
movie or let's give them a
Yeah.
holiday special kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
almost like this is like a reverse of that. It's just like kind of the preamble before the series starts.
Maybe. I mean, I do know. I think we asked each other after our season three discussion, like, where would we want to see the series go from here, or would we? And I remember, if I remember correctly, I had a very kind of vague answer. I was just like, I just want Don Mancini to feel inspired to continue a story. I still want that, but more
Mhm.
specifically, all this, seeing this movie today uh, whetted my appetite for more so was whatever the next turn is, I hope it does the same thing the series started with, which is introduce something new. You can figure how to sprinkle in other storylines and other characters from the past as much or as little as you want, but just start with something new. Give us a whole new scenario with
Yeah.
Chucky and a new adversary for him. That's what I
I'm
would like.
I'm gonna be like the grandmother here and say that what I want is just for everyone to have a nice time. I don't, it doesn't matter to me, just as long as you have a nice time. Um, but and I will say, and like let Chucky be vulnerable again. Like don't give him so much power. I want to see those manic episodes, those freakouts. I want to see him throwing temper tantrums left, right, and center. I want him to see, like yelling at people when things don't go his way, which is going to be always. Um, Eric is saying studio meddling saved Exorcist 3 from being a confusing mess. It does help on occasion.
I agree. I agree.
Um, I will just so I'm not completely dumping on this movie because I do agree. Like there, Chucky is sometimes like really, really funny here. There's some great moments, like
Mm-hmm.
the ones I already mentioned. Like, you fucking with me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the one of my favorite lines ever is
Of
just like,
course.
it behooves us to. I forget what it was. Something about like Andy. Don't underestimate Andy. And it's
You're
like,
right.
listen to this guy. Behooves. You sound like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then the line about can't believe the series got
Can't believe they
canceled.
canceled that show.
But how do you feel? I mean, here you're talking about like the stakes that you want present for Chucky. How do you feel about that confrontation in the padded cell with Andy, where he gets the Chucky that he wants with the cut hair that he marked so he'd know you're the one I stashed the gun in, and basically like reaches into his torso and tears the gun out while Chucky's just there going,
Yeah.
ah, ah, what? Like he doesn't know what the fuck is
Yeah, I
going
mean,
on.
it's a grand moment, but again, and I feel like with a lot of where the series went, it's like it's that same mentality of like we're building up to something and we're like ripping the rug out from underneath it way too soon.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's like that is a thing that Don Mancini does a lot. It's just like there's build up to something and then rip the rug out way too soon. And like, and this is like I'm going to compare it to Survivor here, which is something I do sometimes. But like, it's the mentality. It's just like you want to make a strategic move, and there's always the right time to do it. And you don't want to do it too soon because if you do it too soon, it's not going to pan out, and it's going to be way too early. And you don't want to do it too late because at that point, someone else will have made the move. So I feel like there's a sweet spot, and I just feel like it's rushed. We and this is with a lot of these later movies and the series where it just like let the storyline just simmer a little. Like let it do its thing. We've built up to something. There has to be a payoff. We have to at least experience some of whatever that's going to be, and then you can rip the rug out. But like for Andy to have this whole scheme, which I've whatever, I guess he lucked out that that was the doll that came to his cell and
Yeah.
was able to get that. Like, okay, great. Like, I like that. But then immediately it's like Nika's there, Charles, Nika
Yeah.
locks him in. And it's just like, so all of this planning was like for nothing. Like, if, at least like let Andy get out of there. Like, build it up. Like, let me feel like Andy's succeeding before you do
No.
that.
And see, I felt that just with him going up to the security and saying he needs to see, I think first he said Dr. Foley or
Mhm.
Nika Pierce. And security guards just telling him, nope, no visitors, just turn around, whatever. He's just like, well, then in that case, I want to commit myself. He's just kind of like, get out of here. So he does the
Mhm.
only thing he can in desperation and socks that security guard. And
That
I'm
guy
just
was
kind of
not
like,
having a good night.
no, right? But I was also just kind of like, fuck yeah, Andy's got like, like he's on a war path. And then when he's in the cell, I could tell by looking at him, you're exactly where you want to be. And in an odd way, you kind of seem to feel at home there because number one, it's a padded cell and you're nuts. But number two, you're on the mission again. You've kind of like
Mhm.
you're embodying your purpose again. And then when the right Chucky comes along, you can see like a light go off in his eyes. And then when he finally gets the discovery, I guess he gets too trigger happy and fires way too many rounds into the Chucky, which I can
The
understand.
Chucky that
I
he brought in there, though.
I know, but there's
But the
something about it that I like that I kind of like the fact that it's so carefully planned out, but also at the same time it's so reckless. So it makes sense that he's like walking this line where he's battling like his strategy with just this urgency and uncontrollable compulsion to destroy,
But he,
particularly things that look like Chucky, even if it doesn't serve him.
yeah.
I don't know.
But
I feel like
that's
it kind of makes a point.
that's what's so frustrating about this because it's like again, it's just like even if like they're not giving Chucky all the power in the world, they're like having everyone else be so incompetent
Uh-huh.
to make Chucky win. And it's just like, I want to see these characters get challenged. And for Andy to go there, like, sure, I agree with you. He wanted to be in that padded cell. That was part of the plan. But
Yeah.
like, he got there and then he just stayed there and it didn't go anywhere else. Like, I want to see him get closer to whatever his mission goal is because as far as I'm concerned, he accomplished nothing. He made it worse for himself, and that's fine. That can happen, but at least like string me along to the point where it's just like I almost get there and then you take it away from me and it's just like fuck because at that
Yeah.
point all it was is just like okay,
And
you know,
again,
like
like
sure.
this is where we get to the point of maybe I'm just a bleak person who enjoys dire situations because I love the fact that like one of his goals, he's out, I mean, he's spent time like literally the footage he's sitting there eating cereal watching of himself is because he wants to see Nika. He's been trying to get in touch with her because he understands that she understands what he's going through. And maybe together they can fight to like, obliterate whatever's coming up, next. But what I love is that finally he ends up reaching his destination, like almost accidentally, but it's not Nika that he's confronted with, it's Charles Lee Ray. And I love that or Chucky stands there as Nika, telling her, "You kill me, you kill her." And you watch him make a decision in that moment. Again, a reckless decision, not a hero's decision, a very troubled, haunted man's decision to fire on on Nika's body
Mhm.
anyway, but he's already taken himself out because he has no more rounds left. And I don't know, I understand your frustration. I just don't share it because there's a gratification that I get watching Chucky slam the door on him, watching Fiona Dourif, do this imitation of her father so perfectly. That's another thing.
Amazing.
We get
Yeah.
the gift of Fiona Dourif's first turn
Hmm.
as Charles Lee Ray in this movie, and I remember the first time I saw it, it blew my fucking mind
Just the hair and she
how
walks
perfectly
out.
she
Yeah.
embodied him in spirit, but also yeah, in appearance, like with the hair and the jacket and the way her hands are in the coat,
Mhm.
as she's just kind of strolling down and everything. I'm like, oh my God, you are Charles Lee
I
Ray!
think that that's
Hurrah!
probably my favorite shot in the movie.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah, when
yeah.
when she first walks out there
Oh, it's amazing.
up
But I
to
also just love,
Malcolm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the laughter that she just kind of gives him, like as Charles, like, slamming the door on him and everything like that. Like, let's see how you get out of this one, motherfucker. And then just leaving behind the debris as the dolls place themselves back into position because there's more beyond this, like maybe this is all they do. Because I don't remember if they I can't remember if they come back in the series. See, now I have to watch the series again because all I want to
Yeah.
do is see like how much gets resprinkled in the series. Like, do we ever see little, melted hand Chucky again, or little, baby grave Chucky? I know we won't see
Yeah.
haircut Chucky anymore, but I also just like watching him interact with himself. I find it so fucking adorable.
Well,
I
he was
love
only
that this
alive for
is
a few minutes.
and this is the and this is the Chucky design that I think, that carries on into the series, but I think that I gravitate to the most because it's the one where he looks the most kind of like an odd, adorable baby alien kind of when he's in like
Yeah.
Chucky killer mode. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry I can't
Oh,
give you my experience.
that's okay. You hold on to it. You keep it safe. I
Okay.
think that we should get to the cherry picker.
It's not like we kill people on purpose.
Okay, cherry on top. Uh, what do you think?
I feel like it'd be criminal after singing the praises of Fiona Dourif's turn as Nika and Charles Lee Ray to not give it to her. Because I don't know, the fact
Yeah.
that it's her, that's a big part of like what the appeal for me is just watching her trajectory from scene to scene. It's not even a trajectory, I will give you that. It is kind of a meandering thing, but I think that adds to the hopelessness of it. So anyway, that's my argument. Yeah, her.
I agree, actually. Yeah. And I remember we spoke her praises in the series with just like, especially in that
Yes.
first season with the, because she was playing like five different roles. Because she was playing Nika,
Yeah, yes,
she was
yes.
playing Chucky in Nika's body. She was
Mm-hmm.
then playing Nika pretending to be
Pretending to be
Chucky
Chucky.
while she was not possessed.
Yes.
Um, and I think there was another one. Like we did
Flashback.
the
She was flashback Charles Lee
she
Ray
was
as
Charles Lee
well.
Ray as well.
Yeah.
There might have been more. There was like so many nuances to like
Oh
the
God.
just like the different character levels that she was
Mm-hmm.
playing at any given
Yeah.
time.
She's
Um,
gifted. My
yeah,
God. And she's a
absolutely.
gift. She is a gift. So yeah,
She
there
is.
you
She's the
go.
gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm good with that. So last week we asked you who deserves to die the most in Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Oh.
Zach voted or nominated rather. I probably voted too. I threw a vote on
Of course.
my nom because
Of
that's what you do.
course. Yeah.
Zach nominated Dr. Hefner. Eddie nominated Junior Nurse across, sorry, with Needle.
Yes.
Uh, across Patreon, Instagram, YouTube. The final vote tally was 196 for Dr. Hefner versus 131 for Junior Nurse.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thomas Baker, easy question. Junior Nurse with Needle.
Oh.
Amethyst Frost. Hefner sucks, but I love Fran Bennett's performance. She's so
Mm-hmm.
fun, and especially in Heather's Nightmare. Cut the evil out.
I also love the way she says Heather's last name, just like Miss Langenkamp, Miss Langenkamp.
Langenkamp.
It's so, oh, she's so obviously a
It's so
theatrical
like,
actress
yeah,
because her enunciation is
yeah,
crisp.
it's very
Yes. He's
thespian.
fine. I
The
love
nurse
her.
with the needle was a match. It was a much smaller role, and she needed to get punched for sedating
Hmm.
Dylan against Heather's wishes. Julie was about to die, so she should have swung on all those messy nurses.
It's cute.
Welshman, any nurse with a needle needs to go.
That's hilarious.
Blue box, Dr. Hefner is annoying.
Yeah.
Can't you just believe a bitch? Great. Intense performance from the actress, though. However, my vote goes to Junior Nurse with Needle solely because of the proud gotcha bunt face she makes after sticking the needle. It
What?
always
Oh.
annoyed me that she lived. Do better, Freddie.
100%.
Jonathan K. Come on, the doctor only had Dylan's best interests in mind.
Oh, you have let your
Okay.
son see your films, haven't you? It's like, bitch. Anyway, come on.
Grant Dempsey. All right. Well, voting for Dr. Hefner would be in keeping with my pattern of aiming
Oh.
for all movie therapists slash psychiatrists, and it would be a way for me to vent my frustration with Dylan, with the Dylan of it all in this film. This
Oh.
is a long one. Indeed, on that note, I just feel like there are many other more interesting directions this movie could have gone as a meta nightmare film than the possessed child route. Why
Mm.
the completely fictional 7-year-old kid at all, given the otherwise real world starting point? Heather
Mm.
only had an infant at the time, I believe. Just stick with Heather herself. A story really centered just on her and on the what do horror movies do to the people who make them idea.
Mm.
uh, would have been wonderful. I get the fairy tale thing Wes was going for here, and I get that he felt he needed a child in the mix for that, but meh. Jacob and Five made for a much more interesting version of the possessed child concept and gave us a parent protagonist to bring the whole Freddy goes after the kids thing full circle in this franchise already. I've always
Interesting.
felt like New Nightmare is two movies awkwardly jammed into one, the fascinating meta film and the Dylan movie. Anyway, sorry for the blah blah. Back to the poll. Having said all that, I completely agree with Amethyst that Fran Bennett's performance is great, especially in
Hmm.
the nightmare scene. It's so great, in fact, that always actually disappointed when Dr. Hefner turns into Freddy. Imagine that. Disappointed to see the man himself. I always wish we got at least a little bit more of Nightmare Hefner before shifting to Freddy, so I can't give her over to the cherry picker. Junior nurse with needle it is.
Vocal minority. Wow.
Famously, AJ going with Eddie's pick, the junior nurse with the needle. OMG. I agree. She should be elbowed in the face.
Yeah.
Eddie, I feel our Virgo energies uniting. Like, fucking do the minimum, your fucking job.
Awesome. Awesome.
James Morant. Hefner definitely keeping Heather away from Dylan was just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
And that's
right.
it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't even know who else I would nominate
I
in
know,
this
right?
movie other than is it Dr. Foley?
Right.
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's his name.
AKA Lexi's dad, AKA the vice president. It's like the same
Yes.
actor just coming back multiple times.
Friend
Yeah.
of Don Mancini's, apparently.
Yeah. Then Devon Sawa. Yeah.
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 You're not even gonna make a case.
Oh, what's her face from Hannibal? She played multiple characters too.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Um,
yeah, that dude. So who do you got?
um, yeah, you're right. Like he, the only one who's kind of on par, who I can think of in terms of just like, I don't know, maybe like the weight of what they've done being carried. I can't tell if I should do this or if I should just make a really fun, stupid decision. And
Nominate your heart and your conscience.
oh, yeah, my heart and my conscience. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna choose Chucky because all of the movies, all of the reasons, and also just like we've been discussing, like in the break, like with our feed and everything like that. Like, what was the plan with Nika's mom when he had her incapacitated? Like, he was just playing a paternal role, and it didn't seem to be motivated by sexual violence or anything like that. But at the same time, like, I don't know if he succeeded in that endeavor, if it might not have been a kind of Dr. Foley situation with Chucky as well, in addition to all the people he killed. And Dr. Foley, as far as we know, hasn't killed anyone. So I think, yeah, Chucky is probably the only one who can stand toe to toe with Dr. Foley in terms of offenses. So yeah, I'm choosing
I
him.
love that you're nominating Chucky for hypotheticals.
Yeah.
How
Because I mean,
fucking dare you?
because I love
Who do
watching
you
him.
think you are?
No, because I love watching him in this movie, but it is also, I mean, like, you made a point of like, like kind of pointing out like, the the lack of death. Like, here I'm looking at him for being like, this kind of like heteronormative, like, pushy father, who's like indoctrinating his children in Seed of Chucky, and that's the biggest sin. And you're bringing up, and he's committed murder,
And
and I'm
he's
like, yeah, there's that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, if you think about the families of all the people that Chucky's taken out as well, like there are people suffering
The
because of him.
lives that
So.
they've ruined, yeah.
Yeah, he's ruined the Dillies. He's ruined the
Yeah.
Kincaids. He's ruined the
Officer
Barclays.
Bailey's wife. Well, that
Oh
was
my
that was
God.
Tiffany's
Yeah,
killer, yeah.
right, right. Yes, the Tiffany's ruined the Baileys.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Tiffany again, like just taking orders.
Sure. All right. Well, we turn it over to you now. So vote your heart, vote your conscience. You can vote over on first and foremost Patreon. Even if you are not subscribed, you can support over there for free. Well, it's not really support, but it's support. Just join as a free member, and you'll get
Hmm.
access to the pool, and you can hang out. And while you're there, maybe you'll feel inclined to upgrade. But you can also follow us on Instagram at the Cherry Picker Pod, and the poll shows up there, usually every Tuesday. And also, YouTube. So if you're watching us, please subscribe. If you're listening, head over and subscribe. The RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below if you prefer to listen. Edward, where can they find you on socials?
You can find me at Instagram, Letterboxd, and even my old YouTube channel. If you type any of those search boxes, Edward is Truth, one word, traditional spelling, you should find me. How about you, Zach Cherry?
You can find me on my main YouTube channel, Zach Cherry, ZACK space CHERRY, retro bitch face for Instagram and Letterboxd. Twitter/X is Zach Cherry 8. What do we got going on next week?
Shit, it's part of that prayer. It's the
It's like a prayer,
is it my?
just like a prayer. I'll
No,
take you
my
soul
soul to
to
take.
take. Wes
Okay, because
Craven.
there was another one that was called, wasn't it called like If I Die Before I Wake or something like, or Before I Wake, something like that. It's the
I
same
don't
prayer.
know. Maybe
Yeah.
the title of the movie is like an homage to
Oh,
Nightmare on Elm
there was
Street.
another one I think that was called My Soul to Keep.
My soul
Like,
to keep.
I pray the Lord my soul to keep, and if I die before I wake, I pray the
I
Lord
pray
my soul to
my
take.
soul to take.
Yeah. Anyway,
Is there more to it or is that it?
that's the end.
Oh, okay. Cool. And that's the end of this one. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will be right back.